This is the start of my countdown to the Japanese Grand Prix, and today being a Monday, the 16th day of March in 2026, it means we now have 13 days to the Japanese Grand Prix, which will take place on Sunday, the 29th day of March in 2026 at the popular Suzuka circuit. And this countdown is basically an attempt for me to continue creating awareness about the upcoming Formula One race in Japan, but it is also an opportunity to learn more about Formula One in Japan, especially if you are new to the Formula One sport. The Formula One race in Japan is actually round 3 of the Formula One season in 2026, coming only 2 days after the Chinese Grand Prix, which took place at Shanghai International Circuit. And this is a very interesting and probably very exciting year, given that it is a year with new regulations, and there are quite a lot of stories and narratives that are developing across the paddock, whether it's teams which are doing well, teams that are struggling, and also teams that are probably not sure of what they are supposed to do. There are quite a bit of stories that you are going to continue learning about the Formula One teams, Formula One drivers, and the sport as a whole as the season progresses. And the most interesting bit about the Japanese Grand Prix is that it will be what you might consider to be a normal race weekend, meaning that we are going to have FP1 and FP2 on Friday, then have a P3 and qualifying on Saturday, and then the race on Sunday. That is usually different from having a sprint race weekend, which is a little bit limiting when it comes to the time to practice. If this is the first time that you and I are meeting, I am Joe, and on this YouTube channel talk about Formula One and the business of Formula One. And I would really appreciate it if you would consider subscribing to this YouTube channel. The Suzuka circuit in Japan has a very long history when you consider that the dream about it was actually put into motion back in 1962 by Soichiro Honda, who had actually the idea, the dream and the ambition of actually Honda having its own test track. Of course, a lot of things have changed over the time to the circuit that exists today. And that's part of the history and heritage that makes racing in Japan very interesting. And given that Honda today are actually the engine manufacturer of Aston Martin, you might actually consider Suzuka to be a sort of a home ground or a home circuit for Aston Martin. Well, I don't know whether everyone would agree with that kind of an assessment, but it is good to see that, Aston Martin have a relationship with Honda on the track or on the grid at the moment. Of course, everything is not going probably according to plan. They still have a lot of, room for improvement, but it is good that we will be seeing Aston Martin and Suzuka when it is actually being powered by Honda. Formula One race in Japan is coming at a time when the races in Bahrain and Saudi Arabia have officially been cancelled. And this is because of the ongoing situation in Middle East, which of course is making it impossible to have the Bahrain Grand Prix as well as the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. And this means that the Japanese Grand Prix will actually lead to the start of a month-long break of April, something that probably the sport had not expected, and I'm sure that you as a fan and a supporter of Formula One might not even know what to do with yourself in the entire of April. When it comes to the championship titles, it is worth noting that we are going into Japan with George Russell leading the Drivers' Championship and Mercedes leading the Constructors' Championship. This is out of the 2 races that have been held in Australia as well as in China, including the sprint race in China. Formula One is a global sport, but it is also a global business, which means if you have any interest of engaging in business across the Formula One value chain, you need to be able to be looking out for business opportunities that you can be able to tap into. And when you consider the entire value chain, it means that there are very many opportunities that you can be able to pursue, an opportunity that can give you a chance for you to actually get involved in the sport, not just as a fan, but also as an entrepreneur. And I think one of the easiest one that you can do is to probably look at how you can be able to monetize your knowledge, your expertise, your skills, your information, or experience when it comes to Formula One. And that's something that you might consider to be a low-hanging fruit, and also as a way for you to get involved in this multi-billion-dollar business. This is going to be it from me on this particular video, and I do hope that you have enjoyed this conversation. Subscribe to this YouTube channel if you have not, and I'm going to see you in my next video.